Știu. Știu.
Știu.
Știu.
Știu. Știu.
Salut, sunteți la ZFL, sunt Cristian Hosu și astăzi vom discuta despre piața de MBA din România, care este cererea pentru programele de Executive MBA în acest an și ce schimbări sunt față de anul trecut, față de anii anteriori. Invitatul nostru este Phillip C, director academic al Bucharest Executive MBA, Vienna University Executive Academy. Phillip, hello, how are you?
Hello, hi Christian. Thank you very much for inviting me.
2025 New Year.
Excuse me?
2025 New Year in autumn, a new cohort of Romanian guy or Bulgarian, Hungarian, whatever, to go to the Vienna University for the Executive MBA. What's new? What's new in the market? What's new about the education, the executive education?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. You're right. We are recruiting again. We have a new cohort starting in November 2025 this year for our 16-month-long program. And of course, we have lots of novel elements in here. One of the most important things is that we are strengthening, on the one hand, the leadership aspect and the leadership education in our program. And second, of course, the big topic, artificial intelligence, is of course a topic that we are incorporating in various different elements in the program. Yeah, so there's a number of changes. Overall, I can say is we have very good demand. This is also a global trend. There's more demand now again for MBA studies, for executive MBA studies, and this shows that the relevance of our programs is still there, especially in times that are so uncertain.
Okay, I want to say to everyone that we have a partnership with Executive Vienna University, okay, since 2009. Okay, and with this partnership, you put a scholarship. Who wants to take half of the money to take for this MBA? So your focus will be artificial intelligence. Okay, one of the focus will be artificial intelligence. But if you, let's say, go to 2024, okay. How was the education cohort in 2024? Because you have 1 year, okay, of education.
16 months,
What is the feedback? Yeah.
Our feedback so far to our program is excellent for the different years. Lots of our participants are very happy with the program, and of course this is based on the fact that they have not only a very good experience, but they also clearly see the effects afterwards, right? So there's a clear effect on the career, there's a clear effect in terms of salary increase, of changing jobs within the firm or without the firm, and that makes it a great program. Of course, maybe on the funny side, how can we tell that we have a very good program? We are, in the entire VU Executive Academy world, we are the program with the highest number of participants where a previous family member was also a participant in the program, right? So wives, husbands, sisters, uncles, and so on and so forth. And that shows to you, once you've been through the program and you've experienced the different learnings and you've experienced the outcomes afterwards, right? Family members will come as well.
Phillip, from your research, why the Romanian people come to Vienna University and to take this MBA? What are the reason? What are the first reason?
This is a very good question because you're asking about the unique selling proposition in the end that we have, right? Because in the end, of course, there's other types of programs outside of Romania. You can go to a great program at INSEAD in the UK. You can go to the US and so on. We have a very specific kind of positioning in the market. On the one hand, we have absolutely top global professors and absolutely top-notch global content, international content, case studies of different types of firms, and so on and so forth. But this is combined with a very local cohort, mainly Romanians, maybe some Bulgarians, maybe Serbians, Hungarians, and so on, a mainly local cohort, which of course influences a lot the learning experience and which influences a lot the networking. And the networking, the learning experience from the co-participants is a very important element of the program, right? So in terms of content, we are aligned with the top global programs that exist out there at a much, much better price. And in terms of networking and in terms of learning from the co-participants, we are much more region-oriented and much more focused. And that's unique, right? If you go to London or to Paris or to Stanford, you get a great cohort, but it will not be a Romanian cohort, right? It will not be a Romanian network that you're getting, a regional network. And this is the unique combination that we have, and that's why I think we have a lot of success in the market.
Philip, for someone who is not very familiar with this program, can you give us some detail? I mean, in terms of the length of the program, the
Yes.
pricing, what means the details about this scholarship fund?
Yeah, very, very good question. So overall, it's a generalistic executive MBA program, which means we do not have a specialization. We don't specialize on finance or marketing or anything. It's generalistic, and we're really preparing middle to senior managers for the next level job. Therefore, so much emphasis on leadership and personal development. And we do this via a program over 16 months. So we start in November this year and we end 16 months later in April, then in Vienna. Nearly all of the modules in marketing, in finance, in operations, supply chain management, and so on and so forth take place in Bucharest. There's 3 modules, however, that do not take in Bucharest. The first module is taking place in Vienna at our Great VU campus. The very last module and the graduation is taking place in Vienna at our campus. And the module in the middle this is new for the new cohort, will take place in Singapore in 2026. This is called our international residency. And if you do not want to do Singapore, you can of course wait a little bit, and then a year later we will do a US residency instead. So you can actually choose this in this cohort. You can say, I want to do the residency in the middle of the program, either in Singapore, that's the plan for next year, or then a year later in the US. Now, so overall, it's a great program. The official cost is 42,000 euro. It's definitely a relatively high cost compared to other programs in Romania, but I still think, and I still would suggest that this is a very, very low price given the quality of the program, the quality of the professors that we have from top-notch business schools around the world. We do not have professors from Romania. We have only international professors from top business schools. And we offer, and that's also a reason why this is relatively cheap from my perspective, we offer fantastic scholarships. So right now we have still the Zierul Financiar scholarships, in total 120,000 euro, and the application is running until June 10, right? So we still have about 6 weeks for the scholarship where you can apply. And these are partial scholarships. They're not full scholarships, but the biggest scholarship is up to 29,000 euro.
Okay. How many places are available in a cohort? So in November, because I don't think you can take 100 person.
Very good.
Look, it's not about the money.
That's true. That's true. We cannot and we do not, right? Our aim is to have somewhere between 25 to 40 students, okay? And of course, we are running interviews. We're running a selection program where we're saying, certain candidates are good to go and we accept them into the programs, but for some other candidates, we're saying, maybe that doesn't fit here, because in the end, this is an executive MBA, which means we do want that these people have relatively senior positions, a substantial leadership experience, work experience in principle, but also leadership experience, because otherwise they wouldn't fit into the program. Therefore, our average age is somewhere at, like the age of 38, 39 years old. Does it mean that we do not take anyone who is younger than that? No, that's not true. We are, of course, also taking people that are younger than 38, 39. For example, if you're an entrepreneur, you have substantial leadership experience because you've built up your own firm and you're managing 100 people in your firm, and you're 30 years old, of course we take you, right? Because you have the relevant position, the relevant experience. So it's not one-to-one correlated with age, but the experience, that's the important thing.
How many hours per week you have to stay? Okay, first of all, to stay in the class and then in the study.
Yeah, very good question. Of course, the workload is an important aspect. It's a very condensed and very intensive program. So therefore, there is, of course, workload. We are alleviating this, however, because this is clearly a part-time program. We have lots of experience with this. And this means that we have all our participants doing their regular job full-time on the site. So how do we organize this? So our modules, our key modules are running from Thursday to roughly half day Sunday, right? So 3.5 days approximately. That makes it possible to still do the bulk of the work week with your job. And then these 3.5 days are very intense. And then you have to think about this as there's a 2-week preparation phase before the module and a 2-week post-module phase after the module. And in total, in these 4 weeks, approximately 4 or 5 weeks, so approximately in this 1 month, you have a workload of roughly 10 to 15 hours per week before the module, then these intense full days, full 3.5 days during the module, and then again, approximately 10 to 15 hours after the module for 2 weeks, okay? 15 hours per week for the 2 weeks after the module. So that's a very, very good combination. We are very aligned here with the global top programs in terms of workload, and it's very feasible, as I said, aside while doing your job.
Okay, all the people with this current stress, okay, the position, let's say the money, now the geopolitical transformation. One of the questions is if you have enough mind, okay, to concentrate on this program.
Yes, very good question. And I fully understand this. This is a regular question that we get. Of course, if there's really too much on your plate, right? If it is in terms of, I don't know, the family situation, if it is in terms of the job situation, so on, then, there might be situations here and there where you might need to consider postponing your MBA for a year or so. On the other hand, what we've experienced is that, our candidates make it work. Right? They have the experience of how to manage this. They have the knowledge of how to combine different types of schedules. And if you don't do this educational investment right now in phases of uncertainty, when will you do it? If the next phase is coming, if suddenly the business is booming again, then you find other reasons for not doing it. In principle, I think, if you have the strong interest in growing your personality, in growing in your career, and you have the relevant level of experience and leadership experience, just go for it. You will make it work. All our candidates make it work.
Okay, Philip, another question. What is the balance between, let's say, theoretical instruction and practical application within the courses? Okay, because, all the people are frustrated that they go in school. In school, all it's about theoretical courses, okay? And then when you enter in the real life, it doesn't fit.
Yes, 100% clear. That's why our Executive MBA program is clearly practice-oriented, right? So we have our top-notch professors. Most of them have a good theory and academic background, but the courses are very, very practical oriented, right? We do exercises, we do application rounds of certain concepts in real life. We also have entire modules dedicated to making a link between the academic content on the one hand and the content and then the daily life in the job, right? So this will be accompanying you in the entire program. So I would say, if you ask me what's the what's the balance? I don't know really exactly, but everything that we do is in the end practice oriented. But of course, there's a scientific backbone to it. We just do not just push out some ideas like consultants maybe, or like some funny YouTuber, right? That's not the point. It's academically based, but it's entirely practical.
How does the program support participants in advancing their career post-graduation? Because the people said, look, I entered in this program, I will pay 42,000 euro, then what to do with the diploma?
Yeah, good question. Let me, however, beforehand correct you again. So our official price is 42,000 euro, but we have not only these substantial Zero Financial scholarships, we also have, once the deadline has passed for Zero Financial, we also still have at this moment, we have scholarships available, which are also very generous from VU Vienna Executive Academy. Okay, so most of our participants do not pay the full price. Now, let me get, however, back to your question. And now I have to ask you again, what was your question? I'm sorry, now I was...
How does the program support participants in advantage in their career after the graduation, the Vienna University Executive MBA?
Yeah, so we have, of course, the program itself, but the relationship with us and the relationship among the participants and among all the alumni that we have so far, it doesn't end there, right? So, for example, just now in 2 weeks' time, May 8th, we have a big alumni meeting in Bucharest. We're inviting in all our alumni. We have a professional talk by someone, which is very interesting. So we keep the people together. They still continue to network. There's business relationships forming between our participants, between participants and alumni. We now have an alumni base of more than 500 people in Bucharest. And of course, there's lots of smaller little offerings here and there, which are going on also after the MBA. There's guest talks, there's online webinars from the VU Executive Academy that you can join, and so on and so forth. And of course, we have career services in place specifically for our alumni. We have a dedicated network, a LinkedIn kind of a network or platform, if you wish, that serves these purposes. And therefore, lots of our participants are actually very happy also after the program because there's a lot of additional services.
Okay. Going back to the program, the curricula, what is your strength of your program? I mean, not last year, but in 10 years, in last 10 years. The people come and they are attracted by finance, marketing. They're attracted by operational, yeah? What is the strength of your program in your opinion?
Yeah, as I mentioned already, I think our core strength is not only that we have top-notch, up-to-date knowledge and top-notch international professors from very, very strong business schools, not only from VU, but that this is combined with, you know, a certain focus on the region with a regional network and a regional cohort. Okay, and this is just very unique. So I'm very open. You know, if you are interested in having a career in the Silicon Valley and you want to push this career with an MBA program, well, then we are not the right program, right? This is very clear. If you're interested in having a finance banking career in London, we are not the right program. But we are the right program for a lot of people who think that the region is still very, very important to them. They want to stay there. They have lots of great career opportunities, but they want to combine this local focus or regional focus with the top-notch global content delivered by top-notch global professors.
One of the participants, or a lot of participants, put the question, if I take this executive MBA, what are my chances to become CEO of a company, to become CEO of a multinational, to become a CEO of a big company?
Well, this is very difficult, of course, to assess, right? In overall, statistically speaking, the chances of any kind of graduate from any kind of program to become a CEO of the biggest company in a certain country is absolutely minimal. That's of course clear, because there's lots of different types of factors that play a role here. Our measure is a much more immediate measure. We are looking at our people and how they're advancing in the career in the 2, 3, 4, 5 years after our MBA, right? So are they getting salary increases? Are they moving up the corporate ladder? Are they moving jobs in different areas within the firm? Are they changing jobs across firms, and so on and so forth? And here we see very, very good results. But of course, in the end, it does depend on the individual, and it depends on the corporation which you're working in. I mean, there might be people that leave their corporation and they create their own firm, and they become entrepreneurs themselves. Now they're a boss, but they're a boss of a much, much smaller unit, right? Is it a success? I would say yes, yeah, but it's difficult to say what is success for everyone at the same time and just put one particular probability statistic to it.
After how many years you'll cover your scholarship? I mean, you'll cover the price, invest in this MBA.
Yeah.
From your statistic, because you mentioned we'll cover what's happened with you after 3, 4, 5 years. What is the salary at the beginning of the program? What is the salary at let's say, after 5 years? Okay.
Yeah. Again, here the kind of the payback period differs across all the different type of participants, because we have different type of scholarships. So in the end, the final price for the individual participants differs slightly. And of course, also, we have quite a lot of participants where their company, to some extent, co-finances the MBA, okay? Now, that makes this calculation a little bit more difficult. What I can tell you from experience is that, and given that we have good scholarships and good levels of company participation in funding the MBA, that we have a payback period which is very, very short, right? Think about it, right? If you have an out-of-pocket pay of, let's say, 30,000 euro, let's say like this approximately, right? That would mean that you have within 2 years and a bit of a salary increase, right? You have and by moving the job within 2 years you have your payback, right? That's absolutely normal. That's just kind of a standard case. And in some cases, of course, it's much better, and in some cases, it's a bit below that.
Okay, with the students coming from because the students they are coming from a different sector. I mean, finance, IT, energy, pharma. Commerce, tourism, media, okay, agriculture. How does the program facilitate networking and knowledge exchange among them?
Very good question. This is the core actually that we're trying to achieve constantly. So yes, we do have a lot of different industries. We have a lot of different functional expertise, tech expertise, finance expertise, insurance, whatever it is. So there's a number of different ways of how we are trying to achieve learnings between the participants and networking between the participants. Point number one is, a lot of the stuff that you will be doing in the MBA is group work, and we are putting groups together in such a way that they are complementary, so that not exactly a retail person is only talking to another retail person, that's it, right? So you have get a big diversity of ideas and perspectives and experiences through the group work. The groups also change over the course of the program, so you're not stuck just with 2, 3, 4 people. We have also in the classroom different types of activities which are very interactive and which are meant to create knowledge exchange between the participants or between the professor and the participants. We have also social elements in the program after the formal part, so, going out together on a Saturday and having more informal conversations. We have our alumni events where all our students are also invited, where we have lots of opportunity for networking. So there's lots of formal and informal mechanisms that help us achieve lots of coordination, lots of knowledge exchange between the participants and between participants and alumni.
Okay, from a cohort, okay, how many people graduate?
Yes, we usually have something like 95%, 98% of the cohort graduating. Of course, there's always 1-2 students that might have difficulties finalizing the program, and there might be a lot of different reasons for that, right? I don't want to go into detail here, but of course, sickness can be one of the reasons, right? But in overall, I think the key point, the more important point to mention here is that we understand and we have mechanisms in place to deal with it if certain people cannot attend one particular module, right? So for example, because of a sickness case or because they have a business trip for their work to China for 3 weeks or so, right? So we understand this. This is actually normal practice, and we find solutions so that these students that are missing a class, that they can somehow retake the class, take a similar class in Vienna or something like this, so that overall they can still finalize the program in due time.
Okay, if someone, let's say, don't have a job, don't have a career, but has the money, what is your, let's say, your answer? Do you take him or her? You reject her or him?
It depends on the individual case. Of course, we already had such cases in the past. It depends, of course, a lot on your previous trajectory. How good was your career until the point that you decided to not have a job for some time? And what's your plan for the future, right? So I can tell you, for example, we had sometimes participants, a woman, for example, particularly thinking of in a career phase that was pretty good, but then family being a very strong element here. Then she said, look, I take 2-3 years of a time off from work because I have so many family duties as well. And I will then use the MBA to afterwards restart my career. And that's perfectly fine, right? If there's other cases where this doesn't look very logical, why there is a career break and why there's not a job, there's just money, but not a job. And there's no experience, no leadership experience at good companies and in good roles in the past, we wouldn't take such a person.
You mentioned that the average age is 38, 39, maybe 40. Okay, so if someone graduates the university at 25, 24, has no chance to take an executive MBA.
You have to explain this, I'm sorry.
No, if someone graduates right now a university, okay, and he or her has 24, 25 years, okay, and he wants to apply and also has the money to take an executive MBA. What is your answer at this request?
Yes, I mean, most probably my answer is, and then I will do interviews, we do checks of all the material here. Most probably my answer is that, perhaps this person has the money, perhaps this person has a good base degree, but there's a lack of overall work experience, and there's a specifically a substantial lack of leadership experience, and therefore this person cannot be admitted to the program.
Okay. If you look in the perspective, right now we live in a digital world, in online world, okay, as our discussion on the Zoom, okay, and someone said, look, why you do this executive MBA in the person when all the worlds go to the online?
Yeah, very, very good question. We are asking we're asking ourselves this kind of question every year, and we think about changing the program. For the moment, our decision is very, very clear. I mean, our program is only to a certain extent face-to-face, right? Because as I said earlier, every module roughly covers a 4 or 5 week period, and there is a 2-week period which is not face-to-face, and it's based to some extent also on online learning, on online interaction with your other participants. Then there's this intense face-to-face phase, and 4 days, and then there's this 2 weeks after the module, after the intense phase, which is again not face-to-face, okay? So first of all, we are already doing a lot of stuff not face-to-face, to some extent digital. to some extent live digital, but to some extent also asynchronously digital. And further going into the direction of also putting the core modules online, our experience is that this is not the right way of doing it, because we need very, very strong interaction and communication and also the social network building between the participants and between the participants and the professor. And this you can only facilitate if you really meet in person.
Okay. You mentioned that at the middle of the program will go with this cohort to Singapore. Why?
Yeah. Very good question again. So we have, in the past, we went for the last 10, 15 years, we went to the United States. Yeah. We had different type of trips there. To some extent, we were in Minnesota. Sometimes for the last years, we were in New York City. These were very, very good trips, very, very interesting. However, our key decision now to go to Singapore is driven by two key aspects. Aspect number one is, of course, that overall, in terms of the geo-economical perspective and trajectory in the future, Asia will become a much, much more important player, right? The US will, of course, continue to be very important, but Asia will be very, very important. Not only China, not only India, but overall Asia. And that means that in the future, business ideas, business momentum, right? New innovation ideas and so on and so forth. A lot of this stuff will come from Asia, if we want this or not. And therefore, if you want to have a great up-to-date MBA learning experience, getting much more into Asia and into Asian culture, understanding what it is about doing business there and how innovation takes place and what the work culture is and so on and so forth, well, you have to be in Asia. And that's why we said, okay, let's go to Singapore as a good starting point. We have very good connections there with companies, but also with universities here, Nanjing University, for example. So we will put together a great program. Other programs of the EU Executive Academy have already been there, and it gives a truly Asian experience, which is very valuable to the students.
Philip, you mentioned that all the professors are foreigner, yes?
Yes.
Okay, can you give me some example and why Romanian prefer foreign professor?
Yes.
And if they prefer American, they prefer European, they prefer German, French, and so on.
Yep. Very good question. So point number one that I want to make is that it's not that we don't think that there's absolutely great Romanian professors, right? The likelihood, however, that there's really great Romanian professors that are also in Romania is relatively low, because most of the great Romanian professors are also abroad somewhere, okay? So this is one point. The second point is that, as I said, because of our focus on Romania and the region, most of our participants have had their base education, their bachelor's or master's degree and so on in Romania. So this is something that they've already experienced, and now they're looking for something new, for something different. And that's why we said, okay, we fully go for international professors from abroad. Do we only go for Americans and so on? No. Our clear experience is that our participants want diversity, right? We have a Chinese professor who is a professor in the US. We have a German professor who is a professor in Germany. We have professors from IESE Business School or IE Business School in Spain, absolutely top-notch business schools. So we have a big variety of professors, again, covering different types of regions in the world. And this is exactly what our participants want. And this is exactly what we want to create, global diversity in terms of business schools, in terms of perspectives from these different types of professors.
Okay. Looking for the future, you mentioned that Asia will be the future. Okay.
Not necessarily the only future, but it will be much longer than...
Let's say the new future. The new future. Do you think the Romanian prefer to look for the Asia or prefer historical to look, let's say, in the United States, American market?
Right now, we're kind of in the middle, right? If I talk to our participants and also to our alumni, there's a lot of interest in Asia because of exactly the reasons that I was pointing out. But of course, America and the Americas in general, will remain important, right? That's why we are offering in the future, we are offering the option. We will start with Singapore, but if you do not want to do Singapore, you can do the US 1 year later instead. In addition, you can even choose to do both residencies. So you can do Singapore next year and the US. This will be outside the standard program, so there will be a certain additional payment for this. Don't ask me right now how much this is. I would need to look this up. But the key point is that our people are interested in both Asia and the US, and therefore we give them both options essentially.
With this Executive MBA diploma, okay, from Bucharest, Vienna, can you take the position outside in the world? This diploma is recognized?
Yes. Yeah. So it's very important. This is of course a key feature of our program. So our program is officially a Viennese program, where just part of the teaching is not in Vienna, right? And as a Viennese program here at Vienna University of Economics and Business, we are part of the overall university, and the university is triple accredited. We belong to the 1% of all business schools in the world who have all 3 accreditations, which is a very, very clear sign of quality. And of course, firms and HR recruiters and so on, they know that, right? They know that this program is part of a business school, which is very, very, very well ranked among all the different types of business schools abroad. And that also means that, of course, while we still have a focus on the region, of course, some participants choose to have a career outside of Romania. I'm just remembering, fantastic candidates in the past getting very good jobs in Luxembourg, for example, in Zurich, in India, for various reasons. Could be private reasons, could be fantastic job offers, much more money, whatever it is. But yes, our Executive MBA enables these people to get jobs also outside of Romania, Hungary, Bulgaria, etc.
Look, if you have this power to going back in the past, you personally, what Executive MBA you will want to take?
You mean me personally?
Yeah, you personally, not a Vienna University. Let's look in the all over the world.
Okay. Yeah. I think, if I've been in consulting for 2-3 years after my Master of Science degree. That was back in the days, what was it, 25 years ago, something like this. And I was thinking about this. Should I do a PhD and continue with my academic career at the university? Or should I do a bit of more work and then maybe try to get into an MBA? And this second option at that time, coming from Germany, if you would have asked me, I would have said, if an MBA, I would potentially go for something which is on an innovation oriented, and Stanford, for example, would have been a great option. Now, I would have said it like this because, and I think a lot of people would agree, Stanford is always a very good option for a lot of different type of people. I also must admit, however, that at that time I didn't have any idea of the details of MBA programs, and I didn't have any idea of the financing of the MBA programs. And I can tell you, there's great programs out there, Stanford, INSEAD, London Business School, but they are also incredibly expensive, right? And if I compare this again to our program, we're standing at a nominal price of 42,000 euro with the scholarships substantially lower. And the regular program fees that you pay in Oxford or London or INSEAD or Stanford is very quickly at $150,000 or more, okay? So in that sense, I think I would have said I'm interested in Stanford, and maybe I would have gotten some kind of super duper scholarship. I don't know if that exists. And maybe in the end, then I wouldn't have gone there because it would have been too expensive.
Do you think an employer, a company, make a difference between Executive MBA from Vienna, Bucharest, or let's say Stanford, Harvard, Oxford? Yeah, it depends from who give you the diploma.
Yes, I fully agree, and I admit there is a certain effect there. Right? There's a branding effect, and as I said earlier, these programs are really, really good, right? I don't deny this. if they were bad, if Stanford and INSEAD and London Business School were bad programs, they wouldn't exist on the market for such a long time. They are very, very good. But they're, on the one hand, very, very expensive. And second, they give you an education and a network which is very specific, which is different from what we are giving you. That's exactly my point, right? So as I said earlier, if you go to London Business School, you do something there, there's lots of finance and insurance people because London is a finance insurance kind of hub. And your network will be very Asian in a sense because lots of Asian people are coming and Middle Eastern people are coming to London as well. So you have a network and you have an experience which will be shaped by this type of cohort. And this will be very, very different from what we are giving our participants. And again, does it mean that ours is better or worse? I don't think this is the most relevant question. My response is we have a very good program which is clearly fulfilling a clear need, and it's very, very well priced.
Okay. Do you think that people are interested in program or only at the end to have a diploma?
Oh, no. If you're only interested in the diploma, if you're only interested in a piece of paper, we will figure this out in the selection interviews already. We might figure this out very, very early in the program. Usually these people are not getting into the program in the first place, right? So our people are interested in growing their personality, their learning, their know-how, their network. That's why we're choosing them. That's why they participate. That's why they put this effort into going through the program. We're not letting people go through the program without them fulfilling the assignments and getting, positive grades and everything. This is impossible from a, university law perspective in Austria. So our people are interested in the diploma, in the MBA degree itself, yes, but even more, they're interested in learning, understanding, growing, networking, etc.
After this year, 16 years with this program in Bucharest, and you saw a lot of students, what are the strengths as the Romanian students and their weakness?
Specifically of Romanians, you mean?
Yeah, only Romanian.
Oh, very, very good. And actually, I'm talking about this very often. Just to give you the background here, I'm also teaching in executive MBA programs here in Vienna, and different types of program here, because here we have also specialization programs if you only want to do marketing and sales or something like this, for example. So I have a good overview of Romanian students, but also a lot of students from all the different other countries that go to the other programs in Vienna. And from my perspective, I'm always telling this to also our professors, the Romanian cohorts, the Romanian participants, this is the most fantastic experience that the professors can have. Why? Because Romanians on average are much, much more motivated and much, much more willing to invest into learning and developing, right? If you have Germans or other Western Europeans in there, there's a much higher level of living standards, of background, maybe of inheritance within the family and so on, where they're coming from. On average, that just means is they do not have this power, this willingness to drive, and this motivation to grow and develop as the Romanian students. And that makes it a fantastic atmosphere, right? Because it becomes energetic, it becomes learning oriented. Professors notice this and they are more interested, they're more motivated to teach in the program because it's so much fun in interaction, and there's people raising their concerns and putting in their comments and their perspectives, and that's based on this others learning and so on. So overall, I would say, from my experience, really, really cool cohorts, and the Romanian students have a lot of advantages here in their hands.
Okay, Philip, thank you very much. We'll see in May, June with the new cohort. The new people who wants to apply for the scholarship, okay, it's a partnership between Vienna University and Ziarul Financiar. We are partnered for so many years, and thank you very much for your discussion.
Thank you. Greetings to Bucharest.
Yeah. A fost Phillip C, director academic al Bucharest Executive MBA, Vienna University Executive Academy. Așa cum am menționat, Ziarul Financiar împreună cu organizatorii acestui program, Vienna University, avem un partnership pentru cei care vor să aplice pentru a face acest Executive MBA, se oferă anumite discounturi și anumite burse. Cam atât a fost ZF Live de astăzi.
Știu ce spun.
Putin a anunțat o încetare a focului temporară. Păi unde-i pace? Ce pace? El face doar declarații care dau peste cap orice.
Iartă-mă, știu ce te interesează.
Suprafața agricolă deținută de cetățenii din afara României la noi în țară a crescut cu 1/3 în ultimii 4 ani.
De ce nu văd mai mult oportunitatea și agricultorii noștri?
Nu sunt obișnuiți ai noștri, stai liniștit.
Știu cum să te fac curios.
Ești politicos cu ChatGPT, îi iei miliarde din buzunare lui Sam Altman. Te rog, Nemo. Îți mulțumesc că ești prezentat.
De ce folosești cuvinte inutile? Nu folosi așa, consumăm energie.
Știu cum să te emoționezi.
S-a lăsat liniștea la Vatican. Bazilica Sfântul Petru s-a închis pentru cei care au vrut să-l vadă pentru ultima dată pe Papa Francisc.
Știu să conving.
Cazinoul din Constanța își caută angajați. Deja erau pereții și geamurile pline de găini. Deja, îți dai seama, nici nu l-au deschis bine publicului și deja era deteriorat. Ce imagine îți creează?
Știu să câștig.
La mustață, Nemo!
La mustață.
Știu, deci știi.